Okay guys, thank you so much for joining me for this video. So this was all going to be part of the weekly schlog, but it ended up being way more content than I could put into that and have it be a halfway normal length schlog. So this video is going to be all the GPX 250. We're going to do the forks, we're going to do the shock, and I'm going to go over kind of some of my thoughts about it. So if that sounds interesting, if you want to learn about the workings of the GPX Moto suspension, join us for this video. So let's get going. Alright guys, next on the lift is the GPX. This is the Enduro. Obviously, it's street legal, or was street legal. It used to have a license plate on it. But this is owned by Hello Dirt here on YouTube. He brought it by for us to do some suspension work. So this is going to be interesting, guys, because I don't know if we have the parts to, to do it. Because I don't really know what they are. They're... what are they? I don't know what they're called. That's stuck on there, but let's think. Strong shock absorber. I believe that's what the front would say too, because it looks like the same kind of S. So I've been told that it takes the same as a KTM seal, so that'd be good if it does, because I have those. It looks kind of KTM-y, except for these 4 holes. I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. That's gonna be interesting to get the inner cartridge out. But it looks like the outer stuff in the seals looks like those are probably 48s, but let's take a look. Calipers 48.6, but that's because I wasn't being careful. So 48 millimeters. I got a whole bunch of 48 millimeter seals, so I'm assuming that we're gonna have the right thing. So join me. This is gonna be fun figuring out what's inside these. I have no clue. We'll start with the right one. I'm guessing they're the same left to right. They look the same, but we'll take a look in both of them just in case they're different. All right, guys, got the right fork leg off. Couple things. It looks a lot like a KTM fork as far as just the outsides of it. This fork cover is gonna have to come off for me to get in there. Kind of looks like an attempt at the old twin chamber KTM, so that could be really cool. Other things I've noticed, and just taking it apart, I'm not going to take you back over there, but it's definitely just an inexpensive bike. And before we all jump down the throats of the GPX people and the people who ride them, we need a less expensive bike on the market, right? I mean, things have gotten out of hand when the normal dirt bikes are, you know, basically 11 grand by the time you pay tax and all that stuff. So I think it's a cool deal. The motor in these things is like an old Yamaha DT motor, so it's kind of funky. You know, it's not making a ton of horsepower, but it's a reliable engine for sure. And you know, everything on it is just a little more crude. The pipe is out of thicker steel. The frame is definitely different kind of steel. The welds aren't as pretty. But, you know, this gentleman's been having good luck with his. I know Pains and Rides here on the channel, or on the YouTubes, is going to definitely comment how much he hated his GPX because he had nothing but trouble with parts and electronics and things like that. So that's one of the other issues with these off brands, is that, you know, if you need parts, you might be in trouble. So anyway, let's chalk it up in the soft jaws and see what's inside. So it doesn't take a KTM fork cap. Let's see if it... So, Yamaha style fork cap. Alright guys, got it apart, and interesting turn of events. So it is not a twin chamber, even though this cap would lead you to believe that maybe it is. I'm thinking that might be for preload. I don't know. I don't really have anything that's that size to get it off. So we'll see how it comes off. Hopefully I don't need to hook into that to get this thing off. Otherwise, now it's looking like an open chamber fork, which is a good fork, actually. I like the open chamber WPs way better than the Air or the Explorer or anything in stock form. So I got my super duper thin 17 millimeter wrench to get into on that nut. Interesting. Let's see. There we go. Huh. All right, this is some interesting stuff, guys. Seems okay, but just built differently than any other fork I've ever dealt with. You got your adjuster, right? And I counted the clicks. I'm sorry I didn't show you. But anyway, and then you've got on the inside, there's a little flat blade in there that keys into this. And if that'll focus, anyway, which then screws into that. That's threaded. Focus. Anyway, trust me, the inside of that's threaded. Sorry. And then there's a rod down in there, so it was not threaded in, probably for me twisting it off. So that's interesting. I don't know. That's not how they work normally. Normally, this screws in and out to push on that rod, not a separate piece. So it's going to be interesting to try to get it set right and screwed in correctly. Gonna have to. Anyway, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. So anyway, now I'm gonna dump it out. Oh, look at that. That's interesting too. Focus, there we go. So yeah, you can see it's got a little spring where this goes in to keep this tension on that, which they're normally spring loaded, but this stays down in there. Huh. This is all the very first time I've seen any of this. So if any of you guys have ever taken a fork apart that has this, let me know. It's definitely not like normal. We're learning together. Now I gotta figure out what socket goes on that. Looks like a 19 maybe. So it turns out a 13/16 spark plug socket fits on that. My mind is being blown. It's being like a lot of open chamber forks, it doesn't want to come apart. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull out on this and then cock it over by like that and try to hold that cartridge still. There we go. There we go, guys. Ah, there is the cartridge, damper cartridge rod, whatever you want to call it, for a GPX. There's some weird stuff. There's a spring up there. I don't know why that's there. This is weird. But that's all right. We're getting in there. We're figuring it out. Got to get the seals out like normal. Flat blade screwdriver between the tube and the dust seal. The circlip is really buried in there. Hopefully we can get that out. Ha! There we go, we got them apart. This all looks pretty normal. I can say one thing for sure. These things are way heavier than a normal set of forks. Like, a lot heavier. I don't know what the difference is, but it's big. I bet these things are 4 pounds heavier. Crazy. Alright, I'm gonna go clean these up. Alright guys, got them all cleaned up. I found out probably why they're leaking. You guys aren't gonna be able to see it on here, I don't think. Let me see. If I can focus. I don't know. Anyway, it's got some dings in it, but I just smoothed it out with some memory cloth. I can't really feel it anymore, so we should be good. So I did some checking, measured the seals, and it turns out that the 48 KTMs do fit. So we'll take our dust seal. It's got a circlip kind of like the KTM. It's really stiff, so I'm gonna put that on now, not try to bend it around. We got the oil seal, got a washer. Got our washer. Outer bushing, inner bushing. Come together. Fork seal driver. The kids. They're out of school because it's Christmas break, so this is all for you people. There it is. A picture of Pupper, she's cute.
I know, this is awesome.
What are you guys doing?
Doing stuff.
Circlip. Boom, just like that. All right, seals are good. Everything moves well. Now it's time to put the cartridge back in. Put our base valve back in. Start it by hand like you do everything on a motorcycle. Now, we're going to fill it, and we're going to leave 110 millimeters of air gap on it like we would anything else, open chamber. Alright guys, I found something interesting. So if you collapse these all the way, I didn't push hard on it, but the inner tube comes up and hits the threads that are in here and then gets stuck. That sucks. So it's not a big deal. It's not like messing them up, I don't think, but we gotta knock it back down out of there. You can't seem to, oh here. Maybe I can unscrew it. There we go. That's weird. So, because you have to completely compress it to get the measurement right. So, I guess you just do that and you gotta, anyway, whatever. Another weird thing. I'm going to reinstall the rod with the spring that's loose. Sure it's not in there. Just push on that rod, make sure it bounces. Now, this is the interesting thing. I don't really know what the best way to do this is. So I think what I'm going to do, take a little bit of grease and put it down in that slot. Then I'm going to put it onto the flat blade. Okay, so that little adjuster's down in there. Now we're gonna put the spring on. So here's a little trick I learned a long time ago. So to get this to come up, what I've done is take my thin wrench and I've put it underneath this part down here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spin the spring, which will then force it up. Show you So see, that's forced that up. Now, I'm gonna try to ease this on here. So hopefully that little piece will thread in there. This is a weird design. I've never seen anything like this. So hopefully it hits. Alright, everything seems to be working. So that was open. I'm just trying to turn it in and see if it'll stop. Okay. Alright. Seems to work. I don't even know. These are definitely a lot like normal. So there we go. Tighten this. What we're doing now really is tightening the nut up to the cap. There we go. Oh, there we go. And these things are interesting. They have like a factory installed bleeder, which is cool, but there's no way to get it out that I know of. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it screws in from the bottom, but there's no way, you can't see it from the, anyway, I don't know. They're funky, guys, but I think it's just like a normal open chamber fork where the rebound's on top, compression's on the bottom. What's interesting, the markings on it seem wrong. It says fast is to the righty-tighty, and well, S or F is to the right. I'm guessing that means fast, and then S is left, but that's opposite. Because if you go lefty-loosey, it speeds up the rebound, and righty-tighty, I don't know. Anyway, Chinese stuff, guys. It's weird. Hello, Dirt. Thank you for letting me work on these things. I'm learning a lot. Honestly, one thing I'm learning is that I don't want these forks. I'm glad you like the bike. The bike's been really good for him. So, and I like the price point. I really do. Seems like they could just use some old Yamaha or WP forks, like KYBs or WPs, and have a little bit more normal fork. But anyway, all right, I'm gonna put this back on. I'm gonna turn the camera off. I'm gonna take the other one off. If it is different, I'll come back in. Otherwise, the next thing is the shock, and we'll see what's in that. All right, guys, so found another thing I don't love about this motorcycle. As I was going to tighten up the pinch bolts, which are actually going to, you know, this plasticky thing, this one just stripped right out. And I looked, and it was already kind of jacked up, and what a pain. So now we get to try to rethread that, which is awesome. It's really kind of a nightmare because since it's on the back side of this and you can't split this, it's a so well, let's see what happens. Alright guys, so here's the deal. I had to drill through here with a 21/64 drill bit. I do have the right size helicoil. I have the right size tap, but it's gonna have to tap through here and into there all the way through, and then I'm gonna have to just thread this all the way through and into here, and then try to break the tang off and do everything. So wish me luck right now. Comment below, good luck, Morgan, because we're gonna see if this works. This could be such a nightmare. Anyway, here we go. This is some of the softest metal. Alright, so this is not going deep enough because this tip is not cutting thread. So what I'm going to have to do is turn this into a blind tap by grinding this short, which sucks because that ruins it for everything else. But it'll hopefully be able to get threads far enough in there that I can actually get that helicoil to stick. Alright guys, now I've got the threads tapped all the way in. Now what I'm going to do, so that I don't have to thread the helicoil through this piece, I'm going to drill this hole out to the gap with 2 sizes up. So it's a 23/64 bit. Just go real nice and slow. This is going to be probably a little too much to fit down in there, so I'm going to cut it down, but I'm not going to take the tang off because that's how you install it. So I'm going to cut down this outside with a pair of dikes. I'm going to cut just a little bit off of it, which will make it not as strong, but hopefully it will do something, because we're kind of in a pickle. So hopefully we can get that all the way in there. Let's take a look. Now we gotta try to get that tang out of there. Start with a punch. See if I can't break it off and then blow it out. Alright. Looks like I broke it off. Still in there, but I think there we go. All right, now we find out if it worked. There we go. It worked. Can't believe it, honestly. Did not think that was gonna go that well. Yes. All right, now I'm going to turn this hammer off, and I hope I don't have to pull it back out until we get the shock off, because I do have some more bolts to put in on the other fork, but fingers crossed they don't strip. All right, guys, it is time to work on the shock absorber. As we can see, it is a very strong shock absorber. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. I'm going to set you guys down. We're going to take it apart and see what's inside.